everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Rude Dudes podcast. I am your host, Justin, and of course, today I'm joined by Matt and Tyler.
Hello.
Hey
How are you guys
everyone.
doing? Today we are going to talk about Rockstar games.
Mhm.
Tyler, this is your topic. Do you want to kick us off?
I am the rockstar man here.
Okay, evil witch from you just reminded me of like the evil queen when she's like, "Yes, eat the apple, Snow White." Like,
God, you just sound like a fucking gremlin, dude. What the hell happened?
girl, that's what
um,
happens when Tyler talks about Rockstar. Apparently, good
well,
lord,
because I have very good things to say about Rockstar and I have very bad things to say about Rockstar.
the
Mhm.
energy
Um,
drink or the company?
the company.
I guess there's
Uh,
no
Actually,
difference.
I
yeah,
had
is it
I
in both
had
companies?
I had the energy drink the other day and I almost threw up because
Ew.
I don't like it.
Ugh.
No, that's not
Um,
good.
Reminds me of high school.
yeah.
Yeah,
It reminds me of the
and just so
skating days.
and just so we're clear, we are talking about Rockstar games. That wasn't clear enough.
Not
Yes.
Rockstar Energy.
Yeah.
So the brief history or my history with Rockstar games is I got really into it with the first Red Dead Redemption.
Hmm.
Um I was, top leaderboards or like I think top 20 for all game modes.
I don't
Um
know why that doesn't surprise me whatsoever, but it took me like everything in my being. Like I'm like grinning. I wish you could see me right now, but I was like,
Uh,
yeah, that tracks.
I didn't know that was like, even a thing in that game.
yeah,
They
they
had
had
it at
like team
Malter
They
like
were released.
deathmatch, they had like
mhm.
shootout, they had what was the one with the money? I don't remember. It was so long ago. But my allegiance with Rockstar is the Red Dead series. They did a
Hmm.
phenomenal job with that first and
Hmm.
second one, and it's a fucking shame that they stopped development on the second one
Mhm.
because that it is one I still go back and play it because I'm like I just love the world. I love everything around it. I love the environment. I love the animals. I love the people in the game. There's a community like the base community for it role plays. Like in the
Really?
game. You don't have to, but they do it because it's like, all right, well, like howdy neighbor is like they wave at you and then you wave back, and like very rarely people shoot at each other.
Mm.
I mean,
Hmm.
it happens. Like you get the occasional troll, and then they take it way too far, and then you end up having like a 1v1, and then it goes way past that. But like majority of the time, my interactions with people have just been straight like nothing but nice, which is odd to say because the counterpart to Red Dead, which is Grand Theft Auto, like GTA Online, is the
Yeah.
exact opposite. I've had nothing but
Hmm.
negative like interactions with people to the point where if I play the game, I'm playing in a private lobby because
Yeah.
it's just people suck in that game.
I feel like the setting of GTA, the vibes of GTA, kind of like calls for that, though.
Hmm. Oh
It's just
yeah,
Yeah.
crime
it's pretty
shit. It's
much
like be a piece of shit,
well crime
like stuff like
stuff,
that.
but people turn that into military sim.
Yeah. People
Mm.
on GTA Online are feral. No offense to anybody that's watching this that might be a GTA Online player, but that is just the impression that I get every time I see a video on YouTube or TikTok of it. Like they're feral.
And one of the biggest things that happened to GTA is 5M, which is the role play servers.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And like I
Matt,
played that. I you know there was a time where I did nothing but that. Like I would have a job in it. I would make on
Wow.
Google. I would be like I'd be making spreadsheets of stuff.
hmm
Like it was so immersive and so much fun.
Matt, do you
Um
know about this? Like these roleplay servers?
I do not. This is the first time I've ever heard about it.
really?
So,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah, dude, they go so that in depth. Um and every single one that I've been a part of, like, it has ups and downs, like there's some development, but it's all player ran.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So like if you want a car and say multiple people want the same car and somehow money is easy to make, the economy gets adjusted.
Oh,
So like you got the server owner who like basically runs everything. You got the people under him, there are admins. You got the people under that, there are moderators and developers.
interesting.
And it just pretty much it's just like modded Grand Theft Auto.
Mhm.
Grand Theft Auto, if they took away like, or if they just let players run it, and I think that's like beautiful in a sense. Personally, I've had nothing but like sometimes it's very toxic. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say all the time, but like sometimes it's very toxic and nerve wracking, especially when you're dealing with real people because there's always drama behind it, and that's why I stopped playing.
Mm.
Um, but other than that, like, and I think you guys can kind of back me up on this because this is everywhere. The only reason GTA Online is still surviving is because of the shark cards and the microtransactions.
Oh, yes,
Like,
100%.
oh man, and this is going to be like a very big not like an announcement, but I'm really going to dig myself in a hole here because you guys are going to roast me.
Oh,
Um
trust me, it won't be that bad.
I've spent about $2,000
Mm.
on Grand Theft
Jesus.
Auto.
Okay, to be fair, I've probably spent the same amount on Overwatch, and honestly, Tyler, I think I'm gonna get roasted by the audience harder for calling people who play GTA Online feral. Yes, I'm reminding everybody of that. Um, but yeah, I mean, they get you. It's an easy way to get something that you want, instant gratification. When you're making a little money, it's like, what's $5 here, $10 here? I spend that on a
Yeah.
meal. Like, why not?
Right. And
But
then next thing
not
you know,
to what were you gonna say?
next thing you know, you can't afford food.
Yeah, no, literally. You can't you've paid rent in pretty much your like in with how much you've spent. Um, I do find it very interesting. So we talked about Bethesda last episode, and something that I did not bring up, but something that's really funny to me about Bethesda, and same with Rockstar. I find it so funny how these two companies have successfully re-released like the same game a ton of times. And there's just been endless support for GTA 5, which, mind you, came out in like 2013.
Mhm.
Between the fandom loving GTA 5, between them coming out with GTA Online for it being like one of the first, an early launch on the PlayStation 5. It's just insanity to me that it's lasted this long, but it kind of reminds me of Skyrim. People really love Skyrim, and rightfully so when they kind of did a remaster of it, or not a remaster. What's the word when they're just like updating the graphical fidelity?
Oh, the I can't think of the name.
But
I'm drawing a
basically, when
blank.
they upped the graphics and they re-released it on modern day consoles, people
Not
were losing their minds.
not remaster, but like I update. It's like an update, pretty
It's
much.
like an enhanced version. Yeah, I can't
Enhanced. That's
remember.
what it's called.
Is it called Skyrim Enhanced?
Oh wait, no, you're talking about
E
Skyrim. Your ultimate or like the special
special,
edition.
Special
yeah, special
edition?
edition.
Yeah.
I think that sounds right.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, it just needs to be studied, truly. Like
Mhm.
how they've been able to keep these games like relevant. Even Red Dead. I literally saw something on TikTok the other day for Red Dead 2. Like somebody discovered something for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that there's so many hidden details,
Mhm.
and this goes over like all Rockstar games. They do
Yeah.
phenomenal work in their level design
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
level design in their like open world design and stuff, and like make sure like certain things work. And the thing is like you might go to a location, okay, in the game. You get there at a certain point, the thing that you're looking for might not work at that time because you have to
Mm.
wait either until night or day for it to occur. That
Oh,
that is insanity in itself.
Mhm.
I can't imagine coding that.
I can't either.
That
Uh,
sounds like a fucking disaster.
but going back to the whole like microtransactions thing, how what is your guys' thoughts on paying $60 for a game and having microtransactions in it?
So this is a very interesting topic to me because I'm a huge fighting game fan. And there's been a lot of discourse around Tekken 8. So to bring you guys quickly up to speed, and then I will give my opinion on it. To bring you guys up to speed, Tekken 8 launched in January. It got really good reviews. Couple weeks later, they basically implemented an update where they introduced the Tekken shop, which wasn't there at launch. And the Tekken shop basically is so that you can buy avatar skins, like for your little player that runs around in the world where you run to like an arcade machine and fight people. It's kind of like World Tour mode and Street Fighter 6, but a little more basic, actually much more basic. Um and again, you can buy character customization stuff. And recently they implemented a battle pass to the point where, and the fans are so upset to the point where they're actually like negatively reviewing Street Fighter Tekken 8 on Steam currently, and most of the current reviews are mostly negative, and you can actually see that on the Steam page. Um, but all that being said, I think that like the way that Tekken did it, it is a little shady. I do think that they did kind of withhold this before, like until after reviews came in so that they could get rave reviews. Um, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't mind it for games like Tekken, only because like one, when I saw the character customization options in Tekken 8, I knew that they were going to be throwing like customization stuff into DLC. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
very apparent. There was like nothing there. And Justin can speak on that too.
Mhm.
Um, there was like no unique items per character. And Tyler, like there are always unique items like pretty much for every character. But let's say like the female characters, they all pretty much got the same like generic shirts, generic like school outfits, generic jackets, generic pants. Same with the guys.
Mhm.
Um, Generic hairstyles. So I knew that DLC was coming in our future for cosmetics. And honestly, the microtransactions of it all, like of just like buying a skin that you specifically want for $5, doesn't really bother me. I know that it's really perturbed a lot of the people in the Tekken community, but in my opinion, it's like if you don't want to buy it, don't. Um,
Yes.
it doesn't affect the game whatsoever. It's just like it's a cool cosmetic for your favorite character. And Harada has even said that like Tekken 8, like, okay, I'm also going into this, but Harada way back when tweeted that he was working on the like most expensive project that he's ever worked on at Bandai Namco. And a lot of people didn't really know what to make of that. And I think that he was probably working on Tekken 8. I could be wrong. He might have been working on something else, but Tekken 8 is beautiful. They put a lot of money into it. And I think that Harada even said something either on Twitter or an interview. And Harada is like one of the lead directors on Tekken, if not the lead. Um, he basically said something like games are so expensive to create nowadays that maintaining them takes more than just a couple of DLC releases post
Mhm.
launch. And basically that they need these little microtransactions to keep the game alive and healthy.
Yep.
I yeah, see, like that's where I agree with it. Like it's definitely like you put a game out, you don't release any DLC or anything like that. You just update it. You're not making money on it. But, going forward though, I think another good example though is the backlash Dragon's Dogma 2 got
Yeah.
because they released
Uh,
they released the game. Oh, let's talk about the beta. The beta was flawless. Like no barely any problems, like any kind of problem people were having, it's like, oh, because it's a beta.
mhm.
Mhm.
And then the actual game came out and, people were pissed because one of the major things is you can only have one character at the time. Now it's different. I think they updated it. You can have multiple characters. Um, but you can at the like when they first released, you could only have one character. They had over, I believe, like it was 10 plus DLCs for items that you can get in the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can get everything in the game, but you could also pay for it to make your experience a little easier in trying to find it.
But here's the thing, all that stuff already existed in a
Mhm.
uh, premium edition or whatever edition it was for Dragon's Dogma 2. It's just that if people didn't buy the premium edition, well, they had this option of getting the stuff that came with the premium edition
See, and
separately.
that's where, like, I'm not as ticked off because,
No.
again, every DLC, every microtransaction, everything that goes with that
Mhm.
is purely player choice.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
is your choice to spend money on a game.
Yeah.
My problem with microtransactions is when people force you, like developers force you to buy a DLC,
Yeah.
aka Destiny.
Oh
Mm.
god.
And I only know this because of one of my buddies. He's just really like he's played Destiny 1 up until the end, and he's still playing Destiny 2. Matter of fact, I just saw his Steam icon come up and he's playing Destiny 2 right now.
So, are you talking about, like, major, like, expansion DLCs
Hmm.
then?
Yeah,
Okay.
because what they do is they make it you can still play the game,
Mhm.
but to say, you get the like say you get the base game, okay? You get to
Yeah.
the point where you can't progress any further. You're
Mhm.
locked. You're locked until you buy a DLC.
Yeah.
And that goes on with the next deal or expansion pass and the next expansion pass. So if you
Mhm.
ever want to progress in the game, they kind of force your hand in buying the DLC, which is like buying an entirely new game.
Now, how is that any different than buying a new game in general?
How is that different? Because you already
Yeah, so
paid money for a game and you're just getting DLC after DLC for a game that you already paid $60 to play, and it soft locks you when you like pretty much like get
but
to the end, but it's not the end.
isn't this extra content, though, just a sequel then?
Pretty much, and it should be its own game.
See,
It
mm, I kinda disagree with that as a player of as a World of Warcraft or former World of Warcraft player.
okay.
I s like, I wouldn't want like, I don't mind that World of Warcraft has additional expansion packs where it just builds on top of the base game, because it's
Oh,
still, like, a continuing story that's going on.
oh
So
yeah,
it's
no,
like
I agree 100% with you. Like, and it's like okay, like this is their support. Like we're showing
mhm,
support to the story. We're showing support to the people who bust their ass to make sure this content stays alive. You know,
mhm,
it's just my problem is charging close damn near to a new game,
okay. How much
instead
is it? Like,
of
was it $40 for DLC, I'm assuming?
for it's like I mean, I think I would have to take a look. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do that now because I know a new DLC came out
Okay.
recently for Destiny.
Lightfall is $50 on Steam.
50?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, like that's practically I mean, with the current prices of games and stuff now, um, it's practically like a brand new game,
Yeah.
which is
I am not going to like, I don't know, I don't play Destiny 2, so I'm not gonna, like, I don't know how in depth these DLCs go, but it's also hard for developers to make like, let's say they released these were instead not DLCs, but, like, sequels.
mhm.
So it will be a Destiny 3, a Destiny 4, right? That's what you're saying?
Uh, yeah, to a certain extent. Like my basically my biggest issue is like these companies. they come out and then, like, the last DLC I played were Destiny, which I'm probably gonna get hate for this, but, like, it was just kinda dry. Like,
Mhm.
the story there was a story to it, but it didn't engage me at all, and I was a Destiny 1 player, and
Yeah.
I got into Destiny 2 because of my buddy, and then, got some DLCs and stuff to play along with him, and, he helped me run through them and stuff. I was paying attention to this I was trying to pay attention to the story, but I was just, like, not interested.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I think it's, like, roughly around the same time then where, like, Destiny 2 started falling off for people.
yeah, I know the recent one that just came out, I guess, is really good,
Mhm.
but, like, like, it doesn't sit right with me, the fact that, like, if I didn't even have Destiny 2, like, yeah, the base game is free now, which
Mhm.
is awesome, and I think that was a good direction as far as, like, kinda charging people a little bit more for the DLC, making it more justifiable instead of paying 60 or $70 for the base game and then going from there.
Mhm.
Um, but the biggest flaw is just, like, trying to keep the engagement, especially because, you got the day one people who pay all this money and then they run out of, like, things to do,
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it makes it super difficult for me personally, and like I said, like, this is just my opinion on it. I can't justify paying $50 for a DLC that I'm
Mhm.
going to grind out in a week and be done with.
Yeah.
If I'm paying money for a game or DLC, I want to be engaged fully. I want to get off my computer, think about the game, think about what I'm going to do, think about how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to grind, get it good. But yeah, so going back to the whole microtransactions, Rockstar, and all that, like, I think it's kind of like pointless, especially to make your like in-game economy so unbearably expensive to the point where you feel like you have to
Mhm.
like buy like a shark card. Like, I think that's kind of like asinine.
Yeah, I think that there's a fine balance because although, like, I definitely have problem with Destiny if it essentially soft locks you from doing anything else in the game except buy the DLC. Um, that's really terrible, honestly. But on the same note, you see games that come out like Miles Morales. And
Mhm.
Miles Morales had a lot of criticism for being just essentially DLC. Um, I saw that a lot. To your point, Tyler, you said that you want to, you don't really want to grind out a DLC in a week. You want to be thinking about it. You want to be thinking about like what you're going to be doing next, how you're going to approach it, so on and so forth. Miles Morales, I beat in maybe a week, and that was a
Yeah.
PlayStation 5 launch title.
Yep.
Mhm.
Um, and that was in between like working and such. So it might have been like less time than a week. I don't really remember, but it was a very quick turnaround that I beat Miles Morales after getting my PlayStation 5. That's not
Yeah.
to say that it's not bad, but I think that there is a fine line because I think that people will criticize regardless.
I
Um, I have issue with pay to win, but that's
yeah.
just me personally.
I think we're in the point in, like, games where it's kinda hard to justify a sequel and DLC.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
especially
it and it
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
like, sorry, and, like, in the case of Destiny 2, like, yeah, it's $50 is expensive for DLC content, especially if it kinda happens reoccurringly, and it's like a week of content, right? But granted, it doesn't have a multiplayer, so, like, there's some stuff for you to do still in the game. But if they were to do, like, a Destiny 3, it's for game developers, it's hard to keep iterating on the previous game and make it still fresh and new, where you could still use Destiny 2 as a base, where you already have all those mechanics. Just keep adding to the story and the content to that base game.
I agree with that. My another thing, another point, I just thought of it too, was the fact of like, they do this, but they do it on the Destiny 2 came out in 2016. Could be wrong. I really I think it came out in 2016, but it's still I believe it still runs on the same engine as launch,
Wow.
like the gaming engine. And with current gen and all that stuff, and like this is kind of like
Mhm,
the point that I was making with like Grand Theft Auto and all that stuff with like it being out since 2013 and they made some graphical updates and stuff, but like the engine's still the same.
Right.
Like look at the jump of technology between Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead 2.
oh, yeah.
Hmm.
It's insane. And and who knows what's going to happen with GTA 6.
Yeah.
But like that's where like my concern also goes in line. It's like, yeah, but like the hardware behind the game is generations behind now, but you're still updating a game to where like yeah, it works. Like, World of Warcraft, there's no changing that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That is a time vault. That's just something that Blizzard is just gonna be like, all right, like everyone's gonna fuck with this.
Right.
I
Um,
think, like, even Final Fantasy 14 has that issue, but I don't see people complaining about, "Oh, this is running on an old engine."
yeah, but or like, and I think that's the difference between MMOs and like live action or not live action, sorry, live service.
Mhm,
Which
Mm.
every MMO is a live service. That's like me kind of retracting what I said, but like Destiny 2 is a live service, like mainly a live service. Where and on top of that, it's also a competition game. It's a game that like you get a lot of quests have to do with PvP and like, going into like Cosmodrome and doing team deathmatch and or capture the flag and like stuff like that. So it's just like it's like it needs to be updated, especially to keep people's attention because you got stuff like what's the game Ready or Not that just came out
Yeah. Yeah. Ready
and
or not, I think
it
is what it's called.
it looks almost real, you
Yeah.
know.
need to look up this game, give me a second.
And on that note, though, like, not to sound terrible or, pessimistic, I guess, but you got to also think like how, I guess, dedicated the developers or like the company is to Destiny because they could be not updating it for a variety of reasons. And one of them could be just money. They're like, we want to make the most profit that we possibly can.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
because you
Well,
look at games like Dead by Daylight, for an example, and all that, even though that's a multiplayer game, it was basically created and coded a long time ago. Um, that's why you don't really see a lot of different modes with Dead by Daylight. The mobile game has a lot of different modes, but they just updated the engine in the newest update and it has gone pretty bad. Like a lot of the characters are rubber banding. So I think that like partially it could also be that Destiny doesn't do it because like it would just be too much of a hassle to update it graphically. But again, they could work on that and throw that in with an update and be like, everything's been revamped.
100%.
uh,
I know, and I really didn't
now
even think of it from that perspective either.
I do
And
wanna add on, sorry, Tyler, to cut you off, but, I do wanna add on that but Destiny 2 was made by Bungie,
Hmm.
and at the
yep.
release of Destiny 2, they were under Activision.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mm,
Now they're under Sony, but that's like a new deal, so how much of what they're doing now doesn't really relate to Sony's plans, but
Right.
yeah, like you kind of see what Destiny 2 is doing and their like roadmap, and like how much of that was like Activision be like, okay, just do this,
I agree.
Right.
and like
Every
now that,
Which
and they also branched off of from Activision, like I think 2 years after Destiny 2 came out, where now they need extra money because they got nobody to fund their games.
yeah,
wow,
So it's
that's
like,
wild.
yeah, so
that is
like
crazy.
Bungie, like, yeah, I get that criticism of Bungie, but they're like also in a weird spot where it's like they need extra cash now because they're their own publisher, quote unquote.
Mhm. Yeah. So they probably don't want to invest too much money into it unless like Sony's going to back it. But the other side of this coin too is like you run the risk of your game losing traction or losing like interest if you don't release DLC. Um, so again,
Especially
it's such a
Mhm.
fine line. Like there was a game called DNF Duel, and they didn't release DLC characters for a really long time, if I remember correctly, from its release up until the first DLC character came out. And a lot of people were just confused about like where the game was going and so on and so forth because they were like, well, there's been no updates about like if they're going to even do balance updates or release a new character. So again, it just goes back to it's a really fine balance with DLC and microtransactions, but
you
some
know,
games do take it way too far.
and I will bring in one of my favorite games. As far as like the whole update side of things, like we talked about the if a game, like you brought up the point of like if a game isn't updated or it doesn't have the DLC, it runs the risk. Scrap mechanic has been, and like I don't even know what's going on with that game anymore because
Really.
yeah, because they release updates and stuff, but like none of the updates are paid for. Like they're purely just doing it. But like I'm scared. It's like, okay, everyone who has scrap mechanic now, I don't see like it growing. They're just waiting for the next update.
Mhm.
And that's where it's like, all right, well, that's where it's kind of scary, especially for a developer, because you don't release anything or an update or anything, and you don't make a new game, and you're just working on an update, you're gonna fail.
Right.
Like there's no financial gain from it.
Mhm.
Now, and like that's like we're kind of going back and like being like, all right, like Destiny 2, even like Rockstar, like imagine how much like how much less money Rockstar would have had if they didn't have a shark card.
That's so true.
Or Destiny 2 with if they didn't have paid DLCs, which I know I'm kind of contradicting myself right now because I was just saying like, it sucks and it does. It sucks that you have to pay so much for a game, but I I'm kind of retracting my statement on the whole Destiny 2 thing because as I'm talking about it, I'm also changing my opinion
Mhm.
a little bit because I'm hearing your guys' side of things. Like, yeah, like I I don't think they should be $50 or damn near a new game, but like a good solid like $40 for a
I think
Yeah,
40 is
DLC,
like, for a DLC, I think 40 should be like a max.
like a major DLC.
I agree.
Mhm.
I think that is a good price,
Yeah,
especially for
'cause
like, games that like the story's developed and it's never ending because like I think to buy every single DLC, I think it's in like the 200s now.
Wow.
Like if you got Destiny 2 base, you get through the entire base. If you want to get every single DLC at that moment, you have to pay like 200 and something dollars. Which I could be wrong on
Mm.
that. I know it's up there though.
Oh God, Tyler, you just unearthed a memory. for me, Dead or Alive 5. I would literally be dragged through the coals if I didn't talk about this, considering in the first episode I talked about how big of a Dead or Alive head I am. Dead or Alive 5 has over $1,000 of DLC. Dead or Alive 5 last round, specifically. They came out with season passes that were like $90, so they eclipsed the amount of the game. And typically in these season passes, Dead or Alive 6 changed that a little bit. Like I think you got characters, but typically in these season passes for Dead or Alive 5 last round, it was all costumes. So
Oh,
Mm.
there's like thousands upon thousands of costumes for you to buy in Dead or Alive 5 last round. It is insanity.
that is
Insanity,
wild.
right?
That
Like I push that to the way like the depths of my brain. Cuz on one hand, like I said earlier, I'm like I don't really mind it, but when it gets to a point of like that, I do kind of mind it. Not kind of, I do mind it only because like they did do some really cool collaborations and whatnot. Um and admittedly, of course, I was a Dead or Alive player, so I bought some of them. And like the system that they had in place, it was so difficult. And even funnier is that like you would have all these people that spent all this money on this DLC. And if the person who was playing the game at the time didn't download the free catalog to have them uploaded into the game, like so that they could at least see them like locked on their character select screen, you wouldn't be able to see another character wearing them. So like if you and I are like Justin and I were playing online and I was like, "Oh, check out this new like Kasumi skin I got." He'd be and he didn't have the catalog downloaded, it would just like default to Kasumi's like default outfit. It was a really, really bad system, and Dead or like Team Ninja in general still gets a lot of flack about how much DLC is in Dead or Alive 5 last round, um, and also Dead or Alive 6, which they only supported for a year by the way. So you should go look at Dead or Alive 6 because it
shit.
lasted maybe like a year and 6 months, I would say. But there's so much DLC for that game, it's insanity. I have Steam pulled up. I'm actually gonna look it up.
Oh
So
god.
continue on. Yeah.
That would drive
Yeah.
me insane.
Going back to
Oh, Tyler,
uh
you're kind of like echoing in and out, by the way. Try to talk again.
Hello, hello, hello. One, two,
Okay,
three, one,
there you
two,
go.
three.
there we
Okay.
go.
Yeah,
All right. So sorry for the little technical here.
That's okay.
Um,
we can
that
edit
would
that out. It's
drive
fine.
me. That would drive me insane. If like I got a DLC, I'm like, all right, cool. Like it's an aesthetic, cool. Like I can go online, I can see people who are like, people can see me. Nope.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a specific thing to be able to see
Mhm.
it.
All right. So I did look up Dead or Alive 6. Can
Mhm.
we take bets? Mind you, year and a half that this game was out.
This
And
will
I will
be the last thing. Just
okay.
saying, and then we'll
And
have to end the episode.
okay. I will say too that Dead or Alive 6 is a free game as well, so all the characters are also individually purchasable. So keep that in mind, but just guess how many DLC
I'm
pieces
Like
there
gonna
how
are.
much
go with 150.
Okay, Justin,
uh I was gonna say like 240 245.
you are both way off. 461 pieces of DLC
Mm.
in a year and a half time span.
That's gross.
Oh, and the most egregious thing that they did on to kind of end this on a really happy note, um, the most egregious thing that they did was they released like you could fans were begging for like years that you could be able to change the hair color of your character. Um, and so they released DLC where you could do that, but every time you wanted to change the character's hair, you had to pay money to do it.
Eh, Oh, that's
Yeah,
gross.
I know. I know.
Well, anything else you guys want to say?
I mean, I guess like from this conversation, we've kind of unearthed really uh uh terrible examples of DLC, but we've
Mhm.
also kind of noted about like how it's sometimes a necessary evil. So at
Yeah,
the end of the
that's
day,
that's the one thing I learned from it. I was like, okay, like, yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, like, there's
like
people that are abusing it. There's people that are releasing unfinished games, but also releasing these broken DLCs. But at the same time, like, developers need it.
yep.
Yeah. I think that's like one of the big things that I don't think people realize is like how much the developers actually rely on stuff like this.
Hmm.
And like, sorry to like retract, but when Matt was talking about Tekken 8 and like how people were complaining about microtransactions and all that stuff, Tekken 8, it like just by visual, like just based on how it looks fucking expensive for a fighting game.
Three X's. Three
Like
X's.
really expensive. And fighting games in general just do not make that much money compared to like other big games.
Yeah, like
So like
Tekken
it like
8. Oh, sorry, Justin. What were you gonna
so like
say?
so I was gonna like finish off by saying like if you want to keep seeing Tekken games, stuff like this is gonna have to happen because games just cost too much money right now.
Hmm.
Hmm.
RIP to our generation of gaming where a game would come out and it was just the way it was, no matter how busted or amazing, it was the way that it was.
That's why I think I formed my opinion on it.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
we grew up in a different generation where like a game came out, you didn't have live, you didn't have access to the
Hmm.
internet, and that was the only game you played.
Yep.
Hmm.
But on that note though, we're gonna end the episode. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because otherwise you'll miss out on our content. And we don't want that. You don't want that. So let's get the ball rolling on this, guys. So on that note, peace out. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Get your money up.
Not your funny up.